They told us that the spirit of the holidays lived at the North Pole, wrapped in red velvet and hidden behind a white beard. But for the forgotten children of Kingston, Jamaica, the real miracle didn't come down a chimney. It came through the iron gates of 56 Hope Road. While the rest of the Western world was leaving cookies for a myth, the people of Trenchtown were lining up for a man who didn't need a costume to be a hero. Welcome to Marley Files, Untold Stories, where we strip away the commercial legends to find the human truth. If you believe that generosity is the only revolution that matters, hit that like button and subscribe, because today we are telling the story of the Christmas when Bob Marley decided that if Santa Claus wasn't going to come to the ghetto, he would have to do the job himself. To understand this story, you have to understand the heat of a Jamaican December. There is no snow, there are no reindeer, and in the 1970s, for the thousands of families living in the corrugated zinc shacks of the ghetto, there were often no gifts either. The commercial image of Santa Claus was, to Bob Marley, just another part of the Babylon system, a lie told to poor children to make them feel less than, to make them want things they couldn't afford. Bob didn't believe in lying to children, but he believed fiercely in feeding them. Every year, as the holidays approached, a rumor would start to whisper through the streets of Kingston, a signal that traveled faster than a telegram. The gates were opening. Bob was home. And he wasn't checking a list to see who was naughty or nice, because in the ghetto, survival often meant breaking the rules. On the designated day, the line outside 56 Hope Road would stretch for blocks, a sea of humanity waiting in the humidity. There were single mothers holding babies who hadn't eaten a full meal in days. There were hardened, rude boys with scars on their faces. And there were thousands of barefoot children with eyes wide with anticipation. Inside the compound, the atmosphere wasn't solemn. It was electric with the pulse of reggae. Bob didn't sit on a throne like a king. He stood on the pavement like a brother. He didn't hand out wrapped toys that would break in a week. He handed out envelopes. He handed out cash. He handed out dignity. Bob knew that a toy car couldn't pay the rent. A doll couldn't buy rice and peas. So he gave the people the power to choose their own joy. Witnesses recall seeing Bob stand there for 6, 7, 8 hours straight, sweat soaking through his denim shirt as the line moved forward. He looked every person in the eye. When a woman would try to kneel to thank him, he would pull her up. "No bow to no man," he would say. "We are all one." This wasn't charity, it was redistribution. Bob saw his wealth not as his own, but as a river that was meant to flow through him to the people who needed it most. While American department stores were fighting over profits, Bob Marley was nearly bankrupting himself every holiday season because he couldn't bear the thought of a child going without. But the most powerful moments weren't about the money. One story tells of a young boy, no older than 7, who made it to the front of the line. He didn't ask for money. He just stared at Bob, terrified and awestruck. Bob knelt down, getting to the boy's level, ignoring the bodyguards who tried to hurry the line along. He asked the boy what he wanted. The boy whispered that he just wanted to learn to play the guitar. Bob didn't laugh. He didn't pat the boy on the head. He turned to one of his bandmates, grabbed an acoustic guitar that was leaning against the wall, and placed it in the boy's small hands. "Music is a weapon," Bob told him. "Use it to free your mind." That boy didn't walk out of the gates. He floated. He didn't get a toy. He got a future. This is the difference between a holiday myth and a living legend. Santa Claus promises rewards for good behavior, but Bob Marley offered love despite our flaws. He understood that poverty isn't a lack of character. It is a lack of opportunity. Critics would tell him he was crazy, that the people would just waste the money, that he couldn't save everyone. Bob would just smile and say, "The rain doesn't choose which flower to water." He gave to the thief just as he gave to the priest. He gave to the child who threw rocks just as he gave to the child who sang in the choir. In his eyes, the holiday wasn't about judgment. It was about unconditional love. The kind of love that Jah provides. The kind of love that doesn't ask for a receipt. As the sun would set over Kingston, painting the sky in purples and oranges, the cash would eventually run out. But the gates didn't close. The sound system would turn up. The food would come out. Giant pots of porridge, fish tea, breadfruit. The yard at 56 Hope Road would turn into a massive block party where the social hierarchy dissolved. For one night, there were no rich or poor, no uptown or downtown, just people dancing under the stars, united by the rhythm and the generosity of a man who remembered what it felt like to have nothing. Bob would often retreat to a corner, lighting a spliff, watching the children laugh, a quiet satisfaction on his face that no platinum record could ever give him. Today, we live in a world that is more commercialized than ever. We stress over the perfect gift, the perfect wrapping paper, the perfect Instagram photo. We teach our children to write lists of demands to a man in a red suit. But perhaps we are teaching them the wrong lesson. Bob Marley taught us that you don't need a sleigh to deliver hope. You don't need magic to perform a miracle. All you need is an open hand and an open heart. He showed us that the true spirit of the holidays isn't found in what you get. It's found in what you are willing to give away. Bob left this world too soon, but the echo of his generosity is louder than any Christmas carol. There are adults in Jamaica today, doctors, musicians, teachers, who remember being that barefoot child in the line at Hope Road. They remember the feel of the paper money in their hand, but more importantly, they remember the look in Bob's eyes, a look that said, "You matter." That is a gift that never expires. That is a gift that gets passed down through generations. So this holiday season, as we unwrap our presents and eat our feasts, let's ask ourselves a hard question. Are we waiting for Santa to fix the world? Or are we willing to step up like Bob? You don't need millions of dollars to be a revolution. You just need to see the person standing in front of you. You just need to refuse to look away from suffering. In a world full of Santas, be a Marley. Be the one who gives without expecting anything in return. Be the one who turns a line of desperate people into a circle of family. If this story warmed your soul more than a cup of hot cocoa, share it with someone you love. Let's make kindness go viral. This is Marley Files, Untold Stories. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this movement. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know in the comments. What is the best gift you have ever received that wasn't a thing? Until next time, one love, one heart, and happy holidays to every single one of you.